investigative journalist, show host, writer, and editor for the UnX Network, Lee Speigel, who passed away this past August, is about to go forward on a final mission. Today, moments away from right now, he will travel into space aboard a Falcon 9 rocket, leaving Vandenburg Air Force Base. Friends and family are there live and tuning in from around the world digitally in a final tribute as Lee Speigel's ashes goes to space. Today, I am joined by my wonderful boss and Lee's former boss, his final boss, Margie K, here at the UnX Network. Good afternoon, Margie.
Hi, Race. And I'm just so excited to do this show. We've been waiting for this for some time now. There's been a couple of delays on the launch, and I know that his lovely wife Lorraine is there right now, getting ready to watch this. And I know this is very, very special to her, as it is to all of us.
Absolutely. These delays have really they've really done a number on me, because I was so ready to go back in February, and then to have them push it and then push it again, and then here we are on the third reschedule, and it looks like everything's a go, Margie.
Yes, and I guess it's a go for 4:05 Eastern time.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing.
And then we'll be able to show that launch right here. So that's exciting.
It is. I'm going to go just very quickly. I'm going to run over here and take a look and confirm. See if I can confirm while everybody's kind of filing in and people are joining the stream.
Okay.
You are going to be watching the launch live right here. We're going to carry the SpaceX launch live from Vandenburg Space Base out west, and it's coming up here in just mere moments. I want to make sure I don't. Oh, because I've got some pictures that I want to go get to.
I know we have some pictures. Now, of course, I think everybody knows that for his final mission, which of course we didn't know it was going to be his final mission when we started this, but Lee was the managing editor for Omni Magazine. And he also had a show on our network, and Edge of Reality was the name of it. And Lee was a perfectionist. He was meticulous. He was a super nice guy and very, very tactful. I just loved working with him, and I'm going to miss him terribly. I still find myself picking up the phone to call Lee to ask him a question about something. So it's it's a bittersweet thing, but I'm just glad that we had the time together that we did.
Lee Speigel and I, we talked a bit about this in the tribute show that we did with Lee shortly after his passing. Lee Speigel, it's hard to put into words the kind of person that Lee completely was, because he was so many things. But I'll tell you this, he was one of those guys that brought us all together. He in all of the years that I knew him, he just had this way of always seeing the positive and the good in everybody and everything that he came across. And he was a consummate professional, and he had this way of bringing and linking people together in this industry that we're in. that really either enhanced something that was already established or created something in the very beginning by bringing some people together early on to sort of intermingle their projects that they were working on and people that were working on those projects, meeting them and introducing them and meeting them, introducing them together. And it always turned out so well. I was one of those guys that Lee Speigel introduced to many people, over the years, and a lot of really wonderful friendships and relationships blossomed from that. Some good projects came out of that. Lee Speigel he was many things, but to me, he was a father figure, an older brother figure, and he was loyal and he was trustworthy and honest and true. Every moment of every day of every year that I worked with him and had the privilege of calling him a colleague, he just exuberated this, this wonderful presence. And I have my moments where I break down and cry a lot still. I mean, I think about him, how quickly we lost him. Margie, you and I had the privilege of working with him, just about every day in the final days of his life. And it was just one day he was like, Race, he said, I don't feel good. I'm not eating. You know what I mean? I can't, and then he went to a bunch of specialists and stuff. Nothing ever came of it. Poor fella lost like 50, 60 pounds and finally went back into the hospital, and he never came out. And that all happened in just, 4 or 5 months.
It was too fast.
Yeah. And, you did that was one of those times where you did a scan on him, because you have these wonderful gifts and, you held it for a while, but you came and told me that you felt like, this is a fight he may not win. And he was so strong. He kept it from me, that guy. I wish I could bring him back for 1 minute so I could just pinch him for not.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to put.
Yeah. No.
He didn't want us to worry.
He didn't tell any of his friends. I mean, everybody was shocked at this. And, I can kind of understand it because Lee knew everybody. Everybody was his friend. And there would have been, 500 people at the hospital with him or calling him constantly. And I don't think he and Lorraine wanted that. I think they wanted some peace. They wanted to, go through this difficult time together and just not have everybody else involved. But of course, everybody who knew him was close to him and knew what a wonderful person he was. And they, all of us were shocked and upset about what happened. But I'll tell you what, I think that this idea, I think it was Lorraine's idea to send his ashes to space. It's fantastic because it's certainly fitting for Lee.
I think Lee had seen this happen before and had mentioned to her.
Okay.
But, I wanted to say this. Years ago when I first met Lee and he lived in Queens, in an apartment in Queens, he lived there for 20 years in this apartment. Please let me turn this down. I'm so sorry. I was in such a hurry leading up to this broadcast that I forgot to.
Okay.
But we were on Skype together, and it was probably second, third, maybe fourth call. And Lee and I had bonded through radio because, of course, he did Edge of Reality on WNBC in New York back in the 70s and 80s. And to have a guy that spoke radio language and understood radio like myself, it was kind of a rare thing, because when I got into this, I was making hosts and teaching people how to do podcasting and talk radio, mostly live talk radio, with boots on the ground investigators and researchers, people that had started their own projects and initiated their own sort of special investigations into things. And when I came across people that I saw that were doing very genuine, very worthy work and groundbreaking work, I approached them and I was like, listen, stop doing all of these radio shows and do your own. And that way you can control what you want to put out. You can, if next week, if you want to talk about this, you can. You get on these radio shows and you do these radio shows, you got to wait through a lot of stuff, and then they bring you on, and they ask you questions, and it's the same questions over and over and over and over and over again. And you really have to work very hard to sort of get to what you're working on in the now, and get to the meat and potatoes of what you really would like to get out to the public. So I trained them on how to open their show and how to go into commercials, come out of commercials, and sort of deliver their information, in a professional way. But ever so often, like Micah Hanks and others, I'd come across these personalities that had radio background. Warren and Jason over at Truth Theorem, those guys understood radio. They did a good job with it. So when you're a radio guy and you come across these guys, it's just like talking shop. It's second nature. Well, we were in this conversation, Margie, and he said, wait a minute. He jumped up out of his chair because I showed him this actual piece right here that was made for me by a listener. And he made my call letters to my radio station, and he made one of these right here with my name on it, a desk icon. And I was showing that to Lee, and Lee goes, wait a minute. He jumped up and he ran, and he comes back and he goes just like this. He brings it up from the bottom of the camera real slow. You can see clearly WNBC, it's reality radio, and on his t-shirt, only visiting this planet. On the back, it has, a little bit, but it's a guy with headphones on, and he looks like Lee. He's got the beard and, and all, and he's like just kind of casually sitting with his leg crossed over his knee, and he's holding one of those clipboards. Now, the clipboard part that came up here that claps down, it I guess broke off before. But anyway, he showed me this 15 years ago, and from his studio in Queens, and his lovely wife Lorraine was sweet enough, so sweet to send that to me, to give that to me. I told her, I had told him so many times when he broke it out before, you gotta give me that whenever you go to heaven, you know what I mean, when you make the journey. And but she was kind enough to send that to me, and he's right up there, right next to the award that you and the UNX Network gave me back in the X-Con in October last year. I've got all of that right there up on the same shelf. But he's over watching this every day, Margie, from up there, and I think about him every day. And I uploaded a few pictures. I wanted to kind of walk through.
Let's see
a few of these pictures. A lot of people did not know, and still don't know, that Lee Speigel, he did radio at WNBC in New York with the Edge of Reality Radio. And he also did a project for CBS where he made an album called UFOs, The Credibility Factor. Mm-hmm. And he made that for CBS. It was a project that he completed where, he brought Gordon Cooper and a bunch of very high profile military witnesses, those guys that were in the helicopter that the UFO carried way up high. I forget the name of that case, but he made this for CBS. I'm going to talk to Lorraine about how we can possibly reignite the distribution of this CD.
Yes.
When I had my other radio station, we made that happen. We got a bunch of copies made together, and I want to see what it's going to take, to get that fired back up, because I've had so many people inquire as to how they can get their hands on another copy of the Credibility Factor. So we're going to do that. But not only did he do that, he was writing for one of those magazines that did, the same kind of work that Fate was doing, and it was called Omni Magazine.
Yeah. Yes.
And he was a contributor for Omni Magazine for many, many, many years. And he wrote some fascinating articles that, I still have several copies in my collection from Lee for that. But he went on in 1978 to produce a panel that presented before the United Nations. Still to this day.
Yeah.
He is the only man to ever do it.
That's amazing.
In 1978, before the United Nations, you can see Stanton Friedman to the left, Lee Speigel beside him, the guys from Sir Eric Gary, the Grenada Prime Minister, Grenada Ambassador Willington Friday, and then J. Allen Hynek, Jacques Vallée, and then Colonel Larry Coyne right there on the far right. Those were just a few that he put together to come to present. Now, you have to have a nation in the United Nations to sponsor you to be able to do this. And he was able to find Grenada as a willing participant to allow him the ambassadorship, the IDs, all of the stuff he needed, and all of the resources he needed to be able to do what he needed to do. And then on November 27th, 1978, they held a press conference and presented these notables, and he pulled it off. There's another picture, Stanton Friedman, you can see clearly back before he got the gray like the rest of us. Lee, he was sharp. In 78, Lee was one of those guys, he was a real personality in New York. But again, he was the only guy to ever do that. He's the only guy to ever bring the subject of UFOs before the United Nations. And to me, that just seems so unbelievable that,
it's unbelievable.
What I mean? It just seems unbelievable that's the case. Lee Speigel met and interviewed hundreds of people in his life. Here you can see him with Spock. You know what I mean? Like the stars of Star Trek. Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner down there. I remember him telling me the story about meeting William Shatner and how he came into the office up in New York and WNBC. He was actually there to do an interview on camera with the news station up there, and he heard about it and he ran up there to watch them, on stage and on set. And then when he left the set, he asked him if he could sit down for a few words for an article he was putting together for the Omni Magazine. And he was kind enough to do so. Here, you can see him in the Alien, the WNBC Edge of Reality Radio Alien costume between two New York police officers.
Yeah.
That, and you know, I have several pictures of that, but he shared a story with me that costume was actually made by the costume makers of Saturday Night Live, who were downstairs in the studio downstairs. The costume makers for that show actually made his alien costume for him, and he wore it around to different events and things like that. And he just had this great personality. Lee was, you know, he was just a true, genuine, salt of the earth guy. The picture to the left is him with James Fox back when they were working on the Phenomenon documentary together. Lee Speigel was a co-writer for that. And then the picture of him with the food, I took that picture. He was right across the table from me. And I think that Lorraine would have had a cow if she'd have seen all the carbs he was eating.
That was a lot.
Yeah, in one. Because I told him, I said, you got to eat, even though we're in Wyoming at Devil's Tower, you got to eat, you know, some good Southern food. I think I had chicken fried steak and biscuits and gravy. But like, then we were at the tower, and a good friend of ours up there took that picture of him with his hands up there. And the other picture of him with the alien on the top right was taken at his office, at his desk. I'm not sure who snapped that photo, but he sent that photo to me years ago. And I said, I'm going to be using this on a lot of stuff we do. And he said, please do. He just loved the idea that, you know, I would put that in something. And then, of course, the picture on the bottom right was drawn for him by the guy who does The Simpsons. And that is Lee Spiegel's Simpson character there. Yeah. But he, you know, was a family man. He, you know, married. Lorraine was his lifelong love. They were together back in the 80s, and then they separated and stayed friends all the way up till, you know, several years back. They had been dating again, and finally they got married. But I'll tell you, Lorraine Simone is a true angel, and he loved her so profoundly, so deeply. I had many conversations. He respected me because of my relationship with Robin and how much I loved Robin. And he just loved her devoutly, completely. And it's a special thing. It's a very, very special thing. And so he, you know, all her family brought him in, and he, you know, he embraced all of them as his own. And I remember how happy he was to always go get dressed. We're going to, you know, this event, we're going to this gathering, we're going to this dinner. And he was always all too happy to take his girl by the hand and head out and go do the family thing. But he had so many friends and colleagues in the industry, and you know, these are sort of just a really quick collage that I put together for him with Stanton. In the top center is Buck Wolf, who is live on location in Vandenburg today. Was truly one of the ones who was pivotal in raising the money to be able to send his ashes to space, some of his ashes. Just a wonderful guy, and was his boss at Huffington Post for many years. And of course, Stanton and Jacques Vallée and Lee. And then on the bottom left was a Paula Harris a convention, Star Wars USA, and that he attended with Chase Kletzky there and Carol Jones and Steve. There's just so many people that he. This picture I took in California, in Irvine, California, at the MUFON event of him and his lovely wife Lorraine, right outside my booth. Those are my pipe and drape right there, as a matter of fact. But
Mhm.
today, right here is a photograph. I want you to take a look at this. See the little coffin shaped box there on that panel that says Beyond Burials? Well, that is the container that has his ashes in it.
Oh boy.
And that is the panel where they're installed. And let's see if I can do this. Right.
Should be about ready to show the live launch.
That's what I want to do here. I'm going to
Yeah.
try to see if I can present, share screen, entire screen, share. Okay. Right here, you can see this is the path that the Falcon 9 liftoff is going to take. Once it begins its launch and ascent. And once it gets out here up in subspace, the payload, right before payload separation, right up in here is where his ashes will be deployed. And they will be deployed. Now, let me get up here and see. All right, we're 5.5 minutes away from launch.
Oh wow.
And
Looks it looks like it's a go.
Yeah, everything's ready. It's fueled. Everything's been going well so far in my monitoring all the way up until before the show. But it's very interesting how Beyond does these ashes. They have beyondburial.com. You folks, you can go over there. You can take a look and see exactly how it works. But Buckwolf and many of you out there watching donated to the GoFundMe that Buck started, and Lorraine and then of course all of his friends and family and fans and supporters all chipped in and raised over $10,000. Now, it doesn't cost $10,000 to launch your ashes into space. It is several $1,000s because they do have different rates for different kinds of deliveries for your ashes. You can deliver your ashes to the moon. You can deliver your ashes way out into the cosmos, out into the solar system, to orbit Jupiter, let's say, or Saturn. Lee's ashes will go out into space around Earth and orbit Earth. And they're going to orbit Earth many, many, many times. They don't know exactly how many orbits that Lee will get, but he will orbit the Earth, and then at some point he will begin to descend back to Earth, and his little capsule with his ashes in it will burn up like a little small star, like a falling star in the atmosphere. Awesome. And I think that one is a really cool, because he gets to go to space, he gets to do space, and then, oh my goodness, and then he gets to come back home.
Yeah.
I want to also send everybody over to HuffPost. Just type in HuffPost and Lee Speigel, UFO journalist. There's an article over there that Buckwolf had done by David Moy, and it's a wonderful article about Lee Speigel and his journey to space today. Thank you so much, Buck. But
can we listen to the audio on that?
Yeah. I'm going to full screen this, and because just sitting here looking, they pulled the tower. Sitting here looking at it, Lee is on board and he's about to go. So at 2 minutes, I want to give it Just if it's okay with you, Margie, we'll give it full screen
Yeah, let's do that.
and we'll watch the entire launch of our
Okay.
friend Lee Speigel as he descends into space.
That's an amazing view. That the camera they've got on that thing, it's awesome. Wonder why we can't hear the mission control.
just amazing.
Do you know what those flashes are?
What, Margie?
I guess those flashes are fuel, maybe.
On the left?
Yeah.
No, that's air.
Okay.
That's what they use to
guide
steer.
Yeah.
Literally bringing the main booster back to Earth and going to land it. You know, Elon Musk has cameras everywhere for us now. We get to see angles and aspects that we never got to see before from NASA.
That's right. Yeah, this is a whole different ball game here.
It's a new world, isn't it, Margie?
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Look at that.
Oh, now it's getting closer to Earth. Wow.
Coming right back down to Vandenburg.
That's incredible that they can do that.
And those panels that you see right there are just guides. Those are brakes.
Okay.
That steer the cylinder back down. And then there'll be another big burn right here that'll slow it way down. And then you'll see the legs roll out, fold out.
There they are.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, right on time. Perfect landing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So far, every aspect of this launch has gone flawless.
Mm-hmm.
Flawless. And I know Lee would have been so nervous. I feel like he was nervous. Anyway, wherever he is, he's nervous about it still.
Which is surprising
until he's
because
out there, floating around and doing his thing, he's going to be, because I mean, he had cataract surgery on one eye, and I thought he was going to have tranquilizers for,
That's the thing I couldn't believe about him when it came to anything health wise. He was very nervous about it.
Yeah,
and it's surprising because here he is tackling one of the most difficult subjects there is, UFOs, and but he was afraid of a few things. And the thing about Lee that was so nice as well is that he had a sense of humor.
Oh, he did.
Yes.
Wonderful sense of humor.
Are a serious subject, but there's only so much that you can take with the seriousness of it, and it's good to have a sense of humor about it. I love the costume he made and some of the pictures he took. Being next to fake aliens. Too bad we didn't have any pictures of him with the real ones.
Yeah, I saw, I'm in a thread with a lot of his friends and family that are out there, and they were like, I hope we get a picture, from like one of the SpaceX cameras of the UFO that's coming to pick him up. But he,
yep.
He dreamed of this, it was something that he thought was so very cool, and something that, I know he entertained with Lorraine about wanting to do. And just a truly awesome, idea that someone had. And, hats off to Elon Musk for working with folks like Beyond Burial to be able to do it. Think about, someone had to have this idea, but Gene Roddenberry and so many other people have had this done, have had their their ashes, launched out into space. And Lee now is among the many. And I get choked up. I mean, I had to mute my mic watching this rocket take its flight, because I know how happy this would have made Lee. I truly know how happy I truly know how happy that Lee is right now, and thankful to his family, to his friends, and to everybody that donated to the GoFundMe. It was super special. It was a super special thing. And I don't know, I'm at a real loss for words here, because, and that's rare, but Lee was just one of those guys that, he would have done anything he could have to see to it that we got to live out a dream like that. And the $10,000 that was raised in the GoFundMe, you people don't understand, maybe, but like I do, because I saw it in his apartment in Queens. He had a room quite large, and it was full of file cabinets and boxes and files and folders and paper. And all of that went to David Marler in Rio Rancho, to the National UFO Archives. And that right there cost more to ship all that stuff from Queens to Rio Rancho, New Mexico, than it cost to send his ashes into space. And so that's where the 10,000, number came from, because like six and a half of that went to shipping costs. Because there's so much that went individual boxes and things. It wasn't a container or anything large shipping like that. And when it's 300 here, 500 there, it adds up. And there was a lot of larger components. And so Lorraine was able to get all of that done. That was an insurmountable amount of work to do, to go through that apartment in Queens, because he had lived there, like I said, for 20 years and just accumulated stuff. He had a path from his bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen and to the front door. I'm not, you're muted, Margie. I'm not kidding.
Okay, some would call that hoarding.
A little bit.
If it's about UFOs, it's okay.
He saved everything, that guy.
Yeah,
he saved everything.
It's a good thing he did.
It is because
all important.
David Marler is going to be collating and going through so much stuff.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
He'll
can't
have
imagine what that's going to take. But Lee Speigel, here's one more picture of him at his desk at the HuffPost in New York City and Manhattan. His desk was a little bit a mirror of his apartment. You can see, but again, his little small casket there, is being ejected out into orbit around the Earth as we speak. And Lee's going to be up there for quite a while, with those wonderful views of the Earth, where he lived for so many years. And then he'll descend back down to Earth with all the rest of us. And that'll be it, for our wonderful friend and colleague, Lee Speigel. What a journey.
Right.
What a magnificent journey.
One that most of us will not get to have.
I don't know if this one got up, but our good friend Mark D'Antonio,
Mhm.
a really super good friend of Lee's. I have produced him on Lee's show more times than I think anybody else. Mark, I love you and thank you for everything you did. And thank you for watching, for coming and hanging out with us. It was really cool of you to do. But Margie, I think, with that, I'm ready to wrap up the show and this special broadcast of, this launch. And our brother Lee is safely in space now. He beat us all there, Margie.
He did. He beat us there.
He did. He did. He
And,
did. So, well, for Margie,
yeah.
thank you. And everybody that was watching and will watch this, thank you very much. You can see some of the work that Lee Speigel did while he was here at the Unnext Network. If you would like to back order Unnext magazines, Margie, can you give us information on how people can do that and how people can subscribe and get the Unnext now?
Just go ahead and go to unexnetwork.com, sign up. It's a free subscription, or you can get the X Club Gold subscription if you want more perks, but you can get the digital magazine and the newsletter and all the notices of our shows every day by signing up. It'll come right into your email inbox, and we hope you will join us for that. And then also keep us in mind for XCon in October. All the info is on the website.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Race.
Well, yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your work day today to jump in here and hang out. I thought, we talked about doing this and then it got rescheduled and, we were hanging on by our fingernails, but we got it done, Margie, for our good friend and colleague, Lee Speigel. Again, thank all of you. My love and my heart go out to all of you. Those of you who knew him and if you didn't, go learn about Lee Speigel. He was an amazing man. He was the best of us. So for Margie K, I am Race Hobbs for the Unnext Network, right here where Lee Speigel worked every day with us. We're so privileged to have had him here for the time that we had him. And Godspeed, my brother. You're up there in the heavens looking down on all of us. I love you, Lee Speigel. Thank you all.